This video is part of the series on the Control101 toolbox. Here the focus is on resources to support learning of predictive control. The toolbox then was first released in 2023 and there's lots of resources in it now. But here we're going to focus in particular on model predictive control. So up until now there'd been no resources on that at all. And just a warning that obviously the resources have been developed at different times with different versions of MATLAB, so occasionally you may get some incompatibility. So what's the main focus of this particular video? We're going to look at resources that support an understanding of the foundations of MPC and how to tune. Now, just as a warning, this video is not intended to teach MPC. If you really want to know the technical details, please look elsewhere. The focus here is on resources to help students engage with core concepts. So how do you find the files then? So if you open the master file in the Control101 toolbox, this video we're going to look at three files. We're going to look at source files, concepts of prediction, and MPC tuning. So a summary of how MPC works then. What you need to do is choose the input prediction which optimizes the expected future behavior. So that's the whole concept of MPC. Now in order to do that, we need to define a class of input predictions over which we're going to do our optimization. And we also need to decide what optimum means. Now you can see here in the yellow box, this is an example of a typical MPC performance index. It's very, very simplistic, but you can see we have a combination of tracking errors, the distance of the input from its steady state value, and input changes. So what's a typical input prediction structure? So we assume the NU input changes. So we allow the input to change NU times, and after that we assume it becomes constant. So here's an example. You can see we've got NU changes, the first NU steps, and after that the changes in the input become 0, and you'll see that in the future input the values become steady. So that's a fairly typical input prediction structure. We may choose to assess the outputs over a longer horizon, a horizon of NY, so typically NY is much bigger than NU. So here's an example of a typical prediction structure. So if we start with the inputs, you can see the inputs here with this dotted line, and you'll see what we've done is we've allowed changes over a small horizon. There's a horizon of NU. So we allow some changes and then the input becomes constant. With the output, however, we actually consider the output over a slightly longer horizon, which is noted here in this green box. And this is in essence how predictive control works. So we allow ourselves a finite number of input changes and we look at the output prediction, again over a specified horizon, shown here in the green box, and we basically say, what do we think looks best? Now we should note in particular that the predictive behavior is only assessed within the horizons, so anything beyond the green box is ignored. So how about the control resource then, or the Control101 resource to help students engage with this? The app allows users to explore different predicted, so here's the key thing, different predicted future inputs, and thus evaluate and decide which is best. So it helps them understand the concept of what is going on when I do predictive control. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a live demonstration, and then you'll see what the resource enables and how you might use it. So here's the resource. So the first thing we've got to do is choose a prediction horizon here, a control horizon. Which model do we want? It allows you 3 models, first order, second order, third order. For now I'm going to ignore disturbances and uncertainty. You can include those later. So let's press clear and simulate. Okay, so what you can see is here's the current predictions. The current predicted input, you can see I've selected input UK as 0, UK plus 1 as 0, UK plus 2 as 0. So you can see the predicted input down here is 0. Nothing's happening. And so the predicted output, nothing's happening. So what I can do is I can say, all right, let's try and change some of these input values. So you can see that as I change these input sliders, it shows me the predicted input with this dotted line, and it shows me the corresponding output. So what I can now do is look at that and say, well, is that doing what I want? You can see clearly this prediction is going too big, but remember, you're only allowed to look in the green box. You mustn't be looking at this long term. So at the moment, it's giving me a good trade-off between errors that are negative, errors that are positive. Okay, so you might say that's okay. So if that's okay, you say, right, implement the input. So now it's implemented, and you can see it's become solid pink. So next, we say, okay, now I need to update my predictions. Is that still a good prediction structure? And now you might look and say, oh, well, look, it looks to me like the output's going a bit too big. So maybe I reduce that input there. Okay, and you can see I can keep changing the values, okay, until I get something I'm happy with. And then I can implement the input and move to the next step. Okay, so the whole point of this interface is allow students to engage with how exactly does MPC work. So what I'm doing here is I'm just running forward without actually doing it carefully, because it will only go so far and then it will run to the end. Okay, now what you can do is you can select MPC. So if you select MPC, what it shows you is what the MPC predictions would look like. So you can see here in the dotted line, if you were to use a formal MPC, those are the predictions it would give you. Okay, so it will actually show you what the optimized predictions look like if you want to investigate. So you can either do it manually or you can do it automatically. And of course, you'll see you can add disturbances, which you don't know about, and that will affect the behavior. You can add some uncertainty. So there are a number of different things you can do. But the whole point of this app is to help users understand what's going on with predictive control. What are the core concepts? Okay, so let's close that one and move on. So tuning. Now that we understand the prediction structure within MPC and how decision making is updated every sample, we need to design a law to do this systematically. So in the unconstrained case, you choose a prediction horizon, a control horizon, and a control weighting, and the optimization is automatic. Okay, of course there are good choices of prediction horizon, control horizon, and weighting, and bad choices. And the point of this app is here, you can see, is to allow the user to explore different choices. So we're not trying to tell you this is a good answer, this is a bit bad answer. What we want to do is encourage the user to explore, to do a bit of trial and error, and see if they can gain some insight from experience. So here's what the app looks like. So you can see we've got a slider for the prediction horizon, a slider for the control horizon, a slider for the weighting. You can try different values, and you can see the app will store your different choices. You can see here, here's all the different choices that you've made, and here are the different closed loop behaviors that have resulted. So let's do a live demonstration again, and you'll see what the purpose of the app is. So you can see here I've chosen a prediction horizon of 10. Let's make the control horizon 2. Doesn't really matter. Let's choose a third order system. You can choose what you want. We've got a particular weighting power, and let's press simulate. And there you go. You can see this is what your predictive control law would deliver in terms of closed loop performance. And you might say, okay, how would that change if I was to change the weighting on the input? So let's change the weighting on the input. There we go. Press simulate again, and you can see I've got different behavior. And you see the legend is storing the choices you've made. So the first simulation, the weighting was 1. The second, the weighting was 10. Let's make the weighting even bigger. Make it 100. And you can see how the behavior is changing. And you might say, all right, what if we make the control horizon a bit bigger? Make it 4. Okay, that's not really changed things very much. But I'm just messing about now. The idea is to encourage students to do systematic investigations. What if I change this? What if I change that? So, for example, if I go back down here, I could do a moderately systematic investigation. Okay, low prediction horizon, control horizon of 2, simulate. Okay, and what's happened there is I'm not sure if it's crashed. Let's try again. Okay, so ny equals 4, nu equals 2. Then we'll go to ny equals 6. And you can see basically you could do a systematic investigation. What happens as I increase the prediction horizon? Okay, so the whole idea is to encourage trial and error. So it's not telling you here's a good answer, here's a bad answer. It's a tool where you can experiment what happens as I change these different parameters, and can I gain some insight into how these parameters work and what fundamentally might be good choices and bad choices. Okay, as ever, you can introduce disturbances and uncertainty as well, which I'm not going to do now because this video is not meant to be overly long. Okay, what about source files? So one of the disadvantages with apps is they don't give you any flexibility with models, parameters and scenarios. It's predefined to make it simple. If you want a bit more flexibility, then you need to write the code yourself. And that's, in essence, what this final file is for. This final file will introduce you to the underlying M files, which you can therefore use to write your own scenarios and whatever it is that you want. So you can see there's a large number of files. And again, as ever, the best thing to do is a live demonstration. So if I just find the file for you, here it is. So you can see if I scroll down, you'll see it gives you lots of code exemplars on what's there in case you want to play with it. So if you want to find predictions, you can see here's a code snippet, here's the corresponding file name, and here are the predictions. Okay, so it shows you how to do it. If you want to optimize performance, you can see here's a performance index, and we scroll down and it basically shows you here's a code snippet which gives you the corresponding control law, and you can change obviously these parameters, the control horizon, the weighting and so on. Okay, simulating the MPC law. If you want to do a simulation, you can see here's a code snippet, sets the runtime. Okay, sets the reference, the target, the disturbance, the noise, and in essence you'll see there's a simulation over here on the right hand side, and you have a number of different models you can choose. So you could choose model 1 and you'll see the simulations update. Now the models are defined at the very end of the code, so you can go and see what those models are, but in essence it's pre-coded a number of different models just to make life a bit easier for you, and it will update the simulations, but you of course can change other parameters as you please. Okay, constraint handling. What happens if you have constraints? So we'll talk about that in a later video, but again you'll see the code snippets are here. How do I build the constraint inequalities? How do I actually run a simulation, an MPC simulation with constraint handling? And you can see these dotted lines here show you where the constraints are and show you that MPC is meeting the constraints. So again, a number of different examples as you scroll down to the bottom. So this short video has introduced some of the resources recently added to the Control101 toolbox to support student learning of model predictive control. The most important concept is prediction, and thus there's a resource focused on that. The second is the role of the horizons and the weighting in the tuning, so there's a resource on that. And there's also a file which introduces you to the source files, so that if you want to do your own coding and your own examples, then you've got the source code to start from.